When I do talks here at the nursery, I've decided it's quite nice to be able to show you plants that I am talking about once a month. So in this particular case, these are plants that I have grouped together more in colour than the way that I would talk when I'm here at the nursery. So for you, I'm doing them in colour. So we've basically got the blues and mauves, and then we've got the pinks into the purples with here. Yes, there is one odd one out. Hello, I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. If you enjoy our videos, please do subscribe to the channel. Now, with these colours and the plants that I talk about once a month to people who come here to be able to listen, then they are selected. So I do 20 plants. We've got 10 here at the moment. And basically what happens is that I will talk about them, give them all of the information that they want, and I do it in alphabetical order. But for me and for the ease of doing it for you, I've done it in colour, and then that is quite a nice way of being able to see these plants and understand them. So let's get started. So as I say, this is very much the blue tones. Now a lot of people will say these are not true blue, and I'm fully aware of that. It will depend on your soil type. It will depend on the light levels in the morning, the midday, the evening, as to what sort of colour you will see with these, because all of that affects the actual tone that you get there. So they are blue shades into lilacs, into mauves. So I'm going to call them slightly blue or lilac because that is how I see them, and people do see colours in a different way. So I'm going to start off with this wonderful thing. This is Stokesia laevis, and this one is Mel's, and it is going to open up. It's a little bit early in the morning, so it hasn't quite opened up yet. This is sensitive to the sunlight and day length, so this will open fully during the day and then it will close up at night. You can still see that it's got masses of flower on there, so when these daisies are fully open, they're really quite large. But I love the structure of the dead heads and the buds that are here, because the green bracts are fantastic. So they're really architectural. So these plants are small herbaceous perennials for the front of the border, for full sun, relatively free draining soil. They're not going to get much more than a foot by a foot, so 30 by 30, and then they're really quite fine. No need to deadhead. The flower petals will die off and then they'll fall off quite easily, especially if there's a bit of breeze around. So the only thing you might want to do, if there is a few there, you might want to pick them off or just tap them down, because actually if the petals go down here and rot down into the soil, that is really good. So Stokesia laevis Mel's, and that is a cracking form. Then we're starting to get to see the anemones coming out, and this anemone is beautiful. This one is Regal Swan, so this is in the Swan series. These are bred by a lady called Elizabeth McGregor from up in Scotland, and she has got some fabulous forms. Now this particular one gives you these wonderful, huge, big, sort of almost ball-shaped heads, and the buds are massive as well. Now the inside of the flower is a sort of soft pinky lilac, and then the reverse is this beautiful lilac at the back, offset with that wonderful ring of bright yellow anthers in the centre. Now these are clump forming anemone. They've been bred and crossbred with some different types of anemone to make them clump formers, so they're not going to run off and take over the world. But what they do, they have some specific requirements. So the foliage will get to somewhere around about a foot, maybe 45 centimetres. So 30 to 45 centimetres, a foot to 18 inches with the foliage. Height of the foliage just under a foot 30. And then the flowers are held beautifully above that on these long narrow stems. And then you'll get your first flower bed, and then there are other flowers coming in, and there will be more as you get a larger plant. So these are going to go up somewhere between 18 inches and 2 foot. So that is 45 centimetres and 60 centimetres is the height. So they're not huge, and they're not going to go large sideways either. Starting to flower a little bit earlier than some of the other forms of anemone that you get out there, and flowering for a good length of time. So once they start flowering, you get at least 2 months of flower off these. Very, very beautiful. But they do want a humus-rich soil and semi-shade. So they are far better if they get shade for part of the day and then a bit of sun, and it can be morning or afternoon shade. Or the other thing that they can be is in dappled shade, but you must make sure that they've got a reasonable amount of organic matter that they are sitting in, and then they will be happy. So that is Anemone Regal Swan. Then we move on to Nepetas, and Nepetas are long flowering. There are lots and lots of really good long flowering Nepetas. This particular one is Chettle blue, and it's a good strong almost blue colour. It's a good dark form, much darker than some of the others. It's quite a tall one, but it's an elegant one, and instead of the flower stems going straight up, they go slightly in a V, so that gives you a really quite a large clump for these. Now any free draining soil will do, but they also will grow on clay, which is brilliant because that means that you can get a lot of structure, because lavenders don't like clay, whereas Nepeta will grow on clay soils. So that is really useful. Sunny position, poor soils, they will be happy, and then if once these big flower stems here have finished, you can cut them back and the rest will come up as well. But it's going to flower for a good length of time right the way through the summer months, so a really cracking plant. Nepeta Chettle blue. And then we have this fabulous plant. This is a native, so this is Succisa. So this is Succisa pratensis. Succisa pratensis can vary in height and spread depending on whether it's grown from seed or whether it has been divided from the plant originally. So if you were to divide this form up, you'd always get this form, but if you took seed off this, you would get varying different types. They do prefer a slightly acidic soil, and they will always grow with a mat of foliage at the base and then come up with these beautiful stems covered in these fabulous little buttons of quite dark lilac on these, and they will be absolutely covered. They are a fabulous thing. Anywhere between 2 foot and 4 foot, that's the variation that they can have, and usually at the base not much more than 1 foot to 18 inches. So we're talking 30 to 45 at the base, and we're talking 60 to 90, maybe 1 metre at the top with the flowering spikes. That's dependent on the soil type, so the richer the soil, the taller. These are native to Scotland. You'll see them on the moors out there, and they look wonderful, also known as devil's bit. It's a fabulous plant, Succisa pratensis. Then lastly, on the blue ones, I've got this, and this is, you would know as Russian sage. This is now Salvia. They've changed from Perovskia to being Salvia. This particular one is Little Spire, so this one doesn't get too tall, but by not too tall, I mean somewhere around about the 2.5 to 3 feet instead of the 4 to 5. So smaller than the straight one. It has beautiful grey foliage, grey stems. As soon as you see grey foliage, grey stems, full sun, hot, dry, sunny, that's what these really enjoy doing. You get the beautiful blue purple flowers coming out here. They've got purple soft buds. Once the flowers finish, you get left with that bract form there, so they still look good. They flower for a long time in the autumn, and they're a very, very useful plant. Don't cut them down too hard in the winter. Leave the growth there because they need that to protect them. They will grow from old wood. They will also send up new growth as well. So it's a really great plant. Salvia Little Spire. Recently I set up an email newsletter, and if you want to sign up, then please click in the comments link below or scan the QR code on the screen now. If you sign up, you get an exclusive video. This is a video of me explaining colour combinations and plant combinations in real gardens. Now let's go on to the pinks and the real purples. So we'll start off with the really tall one here. And I better just, whoops, I'll bring it up so that you can see what it is like at the base. So this is growing from these lovely stems here, very narrow leaves and lovely burgundy coloured stems going up to this fabulous top here. Now this is Vernonia angustifolia missurica. I always have to read the label because I always get that slightly wrong. So Vernonia angustifolia cross missurica. So this is a really super tall plant. This is a native to the USA, and what you're looking at here are the flower heads, and these are going to be really tall. So you can see they're already over 5 feet tall here. They can be up to 6 feet. So that is 1.80 meters. They will make large clumps. They are brilliant. They are late season flowering with these beautiful flowers, which are sort of like a thistle flower, but they're held in a head. And the flowers start in the middle of the actual head here. So they start flowering and then they flower outwards, so that eventually you get a huge big head of flower looking really good. Not only do you get this, as you can see with the bigger flower head, that's the starting one, then it sends up secondary flowers and there are more flowers coming low. So it will flower for a good length of time. Really good statuesque plant. They're known as ironweed where they come from. They grow on really tough locations, tough soils, so full sun is best for them. You can push them into a bit of dappled light. Poor soils, absolutely no problem whatsoever. Now I'm going to do the one which is just slightly out of context. It's not purple. This one is a beautiful helenium. Look at that. Isn't that the most fantastic, beautiful flowers? They are really, really lovely. So this one is Vicky. And if I put it down there, there we go, we can see what it's doing. So this has got the most fabulous daisy flowers with a cone in here. So heleniums are great plants. The Vicky has got this lovely sort of yellow around the edge and then this burgundy orange centre to it. It is a fabulous plant. They have a big head of flower up there. They have stems which are really strong. They've got these little wings on the side of the stems there. That is extra support, so they shouldn't need staking. They are really good plants and they will bulk up and make you a lovely big plant at the base. So something around about 18 inches, 45 centimetres there, and then going up to somewhere around about 4 feet, which is 1.20 meters. Such a fabulous thing for this time of the year. Helenium Vicky. Then we go to another slightly taller plant. Now these were Eutrochium, they are now Eutrochium. This one is Red Dwarf. Now, you may say that is not dwarf. What I can tell you is that Eutrochium maculatum is over 2 meters high. So if one of the parents of the breeding of this is over 2 meters, in comparison to that down here, this is dwarf because it's half the height. So this one is going to be 1 meter, maybe 1.20 meters if you've got really good soil, but usually about 1 meter. So just over 3 feet in height, and then spreading and making a lovely clump. They have these beautiful flower heads which become really fluffy and pale burgundy pink, and they are fabulous for attracting all of the pollinators. So these are, again, are really good for the back of the border at this time of the year. Strong plants, really good, quite easy to grow. Eutrochium maculatum Red Dwarf. Then we have this one, which is having a second flowering. So this is Lythrum salicaria, and this one is Feurekerze. Now this is one of the ones which I think is not allowed to be grown in the USA. You have your own native purple loose stripes, but this one is one that we have here in Europe. It's a really fabulous thing. Now say it's having its second flowering. It is. So this flowered early on, May, June time. It was then cut back down. It has then come back up into a second flowering. So it's a really useful plant from that point of view. You get these fabulous bright pink flower heads on this plant, and in its second flowering, it is shorter. So in its first flowering, it would be up to 90 centimetres, so 3 feet. In its second flowering, only up to 2 feet, 60 centimetres. So just remember, if you're going to have something which you cut back, the second flowering is always slightly shorter. But it's a really good clump former, and as I say, this one is called Feurekerze. That was fire candle. Then lastly, on the pinks that I've got here for talking about is the Aster, and this is Aster amellus. And this is doing what nearly all of the Aster amellus do. It's making a lovely clump at the base, then sending up beautiful flower spikes like this, and you get these fabulous daisies on the top. This is going to be covered in flower very, very shortly. This is Rosa Erflung. Rosa Erflung is a good lilac pink. It's a really clear daisy, and the beauty of Aster amellus, which are the European asters, is the fact that these don't get mildew, so you don't have to worry about them. But they have a slightly hairy leaf, so when you feel a hairy leaf on a plant, you know that it will take a little bit of dry. Now these love to be in full sun, free draining soil, and they will be really happy. They are an excellent addition to any border to keep it going and keep you having that flower and a bit of consistency of flower and colour through your borders. The Aster amellus, and this one is Rosa Erflung. So I hope that has given you some really good information regarding different colours that you can put in, and it is just one of the colour palettes that I could have done, but it is quite an interesting colour palette which people enjoy having in their gardens. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.